Hi, welcome back to the Parenting and I podcast. Today we're here to discuss the START campaign, which is a public health campaign from safefood. Campaign is all about helping families take small steps to eating healthier food and becoming more active, which is a really great topic. And discussing it today is two very special guests, which is Aileen McGloin, who's the Director of Marketing and Comms, and Joana da Silva, who's expert in human health and nutrition, and both of them are here on behalf of Safe So enjoy. So hi, really delighted to have both of you on, Aileen and Joana. How are you both doing today?
Great, how are you?
We're good.
Good to
How are
be here,
you?
Catherine.
Surviving, still working from home, but I think we're all starting to see the end of the tunnel from that, which I'm quite excited about, but we'll see how it goes. Today you're both on to tell our listeners about the START campaign. So can you tell me what the START campaign is all about and why it is so important for families in NI?
Sure. The START campaign is a 5-year campaign. It's an all-Ireland campaign that aims to promote healthy weights for children by encouraging parents to have healthy eating and good physical activity habits at home.
Mm-hmm.
In Northern Ireland, our partners are the Public Health Agency and the Department of Health.
Okay.
And we promote a number of messages. On the physical activity side, we want to encourage children to have less screen time and be more active. And for healthy eating, more fruit and veg, good portion sizes.
Mm-hmm.
And the focus of this particular phase of our campaign is eating less treats. And we also have messages around drinking healthy drinks like milk and water, and probably a less expected one is good sleep. So sleep also influences your body weight, so that's very important as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I suppose what's unique about the START campaign is that we work really closely with parents when we're developing the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start to develop ideas around what we'll focus on for a certain phase, we'll talk to parents, we'll get them involved, we'll make sure that their voice is heard in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we go even further down the line and start to develop our advertising and our creative material, we also check in again with parents. So essentially it's a campaign that's created for parents by parents.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we put so much focus on this is that we really want the campaign to resonate with them, to be relevant to them, and more important again, to be empathetic and understand the situations that parents are in trying to do their best for their children.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's so easy with sometimes big campaigns for that focus to be lost, and for the actual target of the campaign to almost be left to the side. It's really nice that you've both spent so much time thinking about what parents actually want and need to hear, and how they can take useful steps that don't completely eclipse all of the other pressures that they have in their lives. So that's really wonderful to hear. Why is it so important then for parents to encourage healthy eating habits in their children from an early age?
Well, eating habits started very early can last a lifetime. So if our children are actually eating a balanced diet from an early age that includes a wide variety of foods, it will first of all support their growth, their learning. It will support them while they are playing, but it's something that will continue through their life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to make sure that children don't eat a lot of treat foods. So that's what we are doing with this campaign. And by treat foods, we're talking about foods that are high in fat, sugar and salt.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that those can be linked to excess weight. And if that is a reality during childhood, there is then a higher risk that excess weight actually continues throughout adulthood, potentially leading to other health issues. So it's something that we want to be very mindful of. These foods will provide calories, of course, but they are very poor in nutrients like vitamins and minerals, so should not be the norm in their diets.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are having too many treats, they may actually also be displacing other foods that are really important. So we need to keep that in mind. But healthy eating habits are not just about what we or what our children eat. So it's also important to think about how we eat, sitting down as a family, taking the opportunity to chat at meal times rather than sitting in front of a screen. It's important to involve them in the planning, so understanding what foods they actually like, what foods they would like to try. That will support this idea of giving them plenty of variety and having them to be exposed to a lot of foods. Okay. And ask them for help in the kitchen, involve them in cooking and meal preparation if it is appropriate for their age, of course. Make it easy for them to go for foods like fruit, for example. So we tend to keep a bowl of fruit in the kitchen counter or have some chopped fruit in the fridge, for example, and make sure that you always have water and milk available. So it becomes their drink. They know that water and milk are best. If this is the norm, they will very likely keep most of these habits as they grow, and it will make a difference.
Mm-hmm. What tips and tricks do you have then for parents to help decrease the amount of treats that their children are eating?
Well, the first one is avoid buying them in the supermarket. So there's no temptation then if you don't have them in the kitchen press. And this is not just for the child, it's for the adult too. So it applies to all of us. Making a plan, So if I look at what I am currently doing, if I identify a few key moments in my house when I'm using treats or when the children are asking for them, I may choose the ones that I'm going then to try and address. And this is going to be different for every family. And start with small changes that can be sustained. There's no point in trying to change too much at the same time and giving up next week. Again, I think involving the child, chat to them as a family about what we are trying to achieve, what we are trying to change, explain them why. I think if they understand it, it's easier for them to buy into it. Talk about snacks that they like, talk about foods that they don't like, But at the same time, make sure that you involve them again, even in the preparation of those. And then think about non-treat foods. What do they love? What could you do with them? A trip to the woods or the sea, sometime in the playground. Again, this is going to vary from family to family. And my last very valuable tip is do check our website and join our Facebook group for parents. It is quite empowering and reassuring to know that there are other people trying to do the same thing as we do. And I think it's something that we see Aileen mentioned there, the work we do with parents for the campaigns. And this could be interviews or focus groups. But I sat in some focus groups in the past, and it's definitely very, very empowering to see, oh, actually, I'm not the only one. Oh, that happens in my house too. It gives you reassurance that we are all trying to do the same.
Yes, nobody is a perfect parent either, or a perfect person. And as you said before, don't try to do too much all at once.
I think we're all perfect parents with a few imperfections, but I think we're all perfect with those. Yeah.
Yes, completely. And I always think about New Year's resolutions when it comes to thinking about how to change something. So many people fail at that big New Year's resolution where they're like almost make the goal too big instead of breaking it down into small steps, which is exactly what this campaign has done. You give people small steps that allow them to kind of have tools to move forward with their lives, which is so brilliant. And I think that a lot of parents will be able to adapt to that well. Really good tip for our parents that are listening to get involved in with your Facebook group. And how would they find that? Would that just be, what would it be called on Facebook?
If they just search Make a Start Facebook group, they should find that very easily.
Okay, brilliant. That's great. So how can parents be a role model for children then to encourage healthy eating habits?
This is the big one, isn't it? Joanna mentioned this earlier. It's all about walking the talk. Children are smart. We all know that. They will sniff you out. If you don't have that kind of credibility of sticking to your own advice, children will see that. They'll see it immediately. I have a 13-year-old daughter. I think her greatest talent is judging me. So I'm sure other people with early teens have the same experience.
Yes, I'm sure lots of parents will be able to, that will resonate.
So, this is about some of the tips that Joanna gave earlier, that you sit down as a family, you agree as a family how you're going to deal with treats in yourselves in your own household.
Yes.
So for some people that'll be if you're eating them every day, because we've all eaten more, during the pandemic, it was something that we did to deal with the stresses and strains, to soothe children, to break up fights, to get them through the homeschooling. There was so much that we solved with treats, and for very, very understandable reasons. Nobody is being judged here. The point is that we're coming to a much more hopeful time as society opens up, and that we actually have the capacity as parents now to make these changes.
Yeah.
So it's about sitting down as a family and saying, look, we've let things slip. We let them slip for good reason, but now we're going to move on, and we're going to get back to the way we ate before. Yeah. So what the parent does themselves is a huge part of that, and that agreement as a household that this is the way we're going to do it. We're not going to have after school snacks, or we're only going to have them at the weekends, or whatever the rule is for your house. You'll know best. The listener will know best exactly what that means.
Thanks so much for that. So is there anywhere then that parents can go online to get extra info on healthy eating habits? I know we kind of touched on this briefly earlier, but you might have some more advice for parents that would be really useful for some of our
the website for the START campaign is makeastart.org. So if you just search Make a Start again, you'll find that very easily. And there's loads of useful information. One page is on 10 tips to start reducing treats. There are lots of ideas around the healthier snacks and how they're different sizes and portions for different age groups as well. So there's loads of ideas, because, parents will be nervous. If I take the treats out, what if I take the bag of crisps out after school, like what do I give them instead?
Yeah.
So there's loads of ideas, anything from a little bit of peanut butter on a cracker to a piece of apple with some cream cheese, or, lots and lots of ideas, and demonstration videos. So that's very helpful. And we also have a whole page full of videos from parenting experts and child psychologists. And what they do is help parents go through that, that difficult moment. If you've seen our TV ad, it focuses on this moment where a parent has to say no to treats. So, it displays that kind of dread. She thinks through all of the other treats that have been taken in the day, and eventually kind of finds the grit to say no. So I suppose it's a lovely moment of a parent being totally empowered to do the right thing, despite the difficulties. We're not saying this is an easy moment. So, the parenting experts and psychologists go through a lot of different scenarios, anything from what do you do if the child has a tantrum in the supermarket? How do you have the conversation with an older child, where they're a little bit more autonomous? They can go to the press themselves, they can take the treats out and so on. So it's all about those difficult moments. And I think there's great assistance there for anyone who wants help with that. That is the moment, where the decision has to be made. So I would advise them to go on there and have a look at all of those different types of scenarios. There'll be a couple that relate to everybody, and they're really, really helpful.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. It sounds like you've covered all the eventualities as a team in this. I'm sure so many parents listening to us chat right now will inwardly be like, oh, I have been there. I have been that lone soldier in the supermarket with a very unhappy toddler when trying to say no to the packet of crisps, or whatever it may be. So I'm sure that there'll be many of our parents that will immediately be typing that into their search bars in search of some really good tips from you guys. So thank you so much. Great. I think that's everything from us today. Just want to thank you again for coming on and discussing the campaign, the Parenting Now, in such detail. I will add a little link under our podcast to your website.
Brilliant.
Allow parents really quick access. So if you're listening, definitely go on and have a wee look and see if you can make a start today with the help of this campaign. So thanks so much for coming on and chatting to me today.
Thanks, Catherine. Really appreciate the opportunity.
So once again, a big thank you to Joana da Silva and Aileen McGloin for joining us for this episode today to discuss the START campaign. You can find out more about that once again on makeastart.org. And you can always call our support line as well for free on 0808 8010 722 and our staff will be delighted to help give you some healthy eating tips as well if you need a little bit more help on that. So tune in for our next episode. Follow us, and drop us a couple little comment if you've enjoyed the episode today. Thanks. See you next time.